Want to stay up to date with everything that's happening on the show? Or do you have a story that you'd like to submit for one of our Listener Stories episodes? You can get in touch with the show via the website at www.hauntedukpodcast.com, on Instagram at hauntedukpodcast, on X at hauntedukpod, or you can email us at contactus@hauntedukpodcast.com. We're also on Facebook and TikTok. And if you want to support the show, you can do it via either Patreon or Ko-fi. Both platforms have exactly the same content, but work in slightly different ways. One of the advantages of Patreon is its sleek user interface, but if you want to avoid those pesky additional charges Apple, Google, and Patreon apply to your subscription, then why not give Ko-fi a try? Simply open a browser window and type ko-fi/Haunted UK Podcast. That's Ko-fi/Haunted UK Podcast, and you'll soon find us. Whichever platform you choose, we're sure you'll enjoy the bonus content. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the episode. This is the Haunted UK Podcast's Short Haunts. Welcome, dear listeners, to our series of short haunts. A shot of scary, just for you. So grab a hot chocolate, maybe a tea, maybe something stronger, because this is Haunted UK Podcast's Short Haunts, Something in the Water. As we go about our daily work routines, we rarely think about the environment we're working in as somewhere that is haunted, or as a place which has some sort of paranormal manifestation. Maybe we spend too much time immersed in our work schedules to even notice that strange things are going on around us every day. But that's certainly not the case for the listener who sent in the following story. His experiences, and those of his colleagues and even the police, couldn't be ignored or simply explained away. And it seems a huge possibility that the site at which the following events took place could still have some surprises in store in the future. But for now, our listener will take the story from here. I wanted to reach out to you relating to an experience I had some time ago back in 1998, when I worked at an old water treatment works as a contractor. Until very recently, I'd not spoken about this at all. However, the onset of the site now being redeveloped into housing reignited the memories of my experiences. I used to be a skeptic. However, this has made me a full-on believer. What I'm saying is that the experiences I had were 100% paranormal. Hence, from then on, I was always inquisitive to understand what I had experienced, and this is why I listened to your show. The story has been only briefly covered by YouTuber and local councillor to the area, Shane Ralph. This all came about when he recorded some videos nearby the site, and I reached out to him. Unknowingly at the time, I was not alone with my experiences. I still work in the industry today, so I feel it best that I remain anonymous. There are also many other people who worked there, who are still uncomfortable with what happened. and we did agree never to share our story, but with what has happened to the site today, I think the story needs to be told. Most of the accounts I will share with you come from a diary I wrote back in 1998. The story I will write about is regarding a treatment works in Essex. This site is now being turned into a housing estate. As I mentioned, I worked there as a contractor for the water authorities on an engineering project. The site at this time had become multi-use, and we did everything on site from water pipe engineering, water softening in small scale, to supply checks and even soil reclamation from pipe replacement. To say the site was quiet was an understatement. If you knew where it was, you could look the site up on Google Maps, and you'll see that a big underground reservoir surrounded the site, which was used as a sound barrier to stop the locals complaining. Older waterworks employees spoke about the site having a dark energy, and it sure did have that, but no one would talk about ghosts or anything paranormal. To give context, the site had been used and abandoned many times over the years, a mixture of Victorian pumping works buildings right up to more modern 1960s era buildings, some in a good state of repair, others not so much. We repaired heavy goods vehicles in one of the older Victorian buildings, and it was here that I had my first encounter with something I will call, well, paranormal. There was an outside bell that at one time would have been connected to a phone. The cables had long been cut, however, on odd days, it would ring, as if a phone call was incoming. Everyone looked at it, but no one really reacted. It was seen more of an annoyance than anything strange. Then on a bright and sunny day, I walked into the workshop and witnessed a large torque wrench throw itself across the room. Now this thing weighed around 25 kilograms, so it doesn't move or float well on its own. To this day, I cannot explain it. To my surprise, one of the workshop mechanics commented, "Oh, it happens all the time. It's the invisible voices that really drive you mad." Reports dating back to the 1960s were easy to come across. One of the reasons the site was abandoned in the 1960s was due to the automatic water softening system always adjusting itself incorrectly, as if some human hand had been adjusting the valves. Because this was a constant problem, it became too costly to maintain. As well as this, there was a photo showing the underground reservoir, and on the back of the photo, it showed that over 100 people had lost their lives building it. Health and safety was not commonplace in the 1900s. As well as a World War II bomb crater from a V-2 missile, the site was situated next to a very busy railway line. Sadly, the level crossing was a hot spot for suicides, and this leads me onto my next encounter. Months after my first experience, a guy in a white t-shirt and washed-out jeans was running across the yard. In 1996, high-vis jackets had now become common, so to see this guy running without one, I felt it right to shout at him and stop him. "Oi mate, stop!" But when I approached him, he disappeared right in front of me. Faded, in fact. I later found out that the previous Sunday, he'd walked out in front of a train and lost his life. Upon learning this, I went cold. From now on, I was a skeptic turned believer. The next thing that others would quietly talk about was the 12-foot dark figure. I never saw it until one night, when I was driving a water company Land Rover up the back of the site to turn a standpipe off. As I approached the standpipe, the dim candlelight headlamps on the Land Rover caught some black fabric blowing in the wind. When I looked up, this figure was standing in front of the vehicle and basing it against the height of the Land Rover The figure would have been around 12 feet tall. It just stared at me. It had no visible facial features, just a black robe with the hood up, looking directly at me. Now, it could have been someone dressed up, but what happened next confirmed to me that it wasn't. The figure turned, walked to the right, and then disappeared. Not faded, but disappeared. It's 1996, so projectors were not that good at this time, so that was another possibility that was dismissed straight away. The standpipe was left on that night, and I later found out that many others had seen this strange figure, or them, as they once described to me, indicating that there was more than one. Another encounter relates to the plant equipment. We used to keep JCB 3CX wheel diggers locked in a razor wire compound to prevent thefts. I was the only person who had a key for the compound. Early misty mornings, I would open the compound and find that the glass cabs on the diggers used to have small childlike handprints on them that had moved the dew, totally unexplained. Digger drivers would say that they heard children singing in the compound, but could never see them. The last of the encounters I experienced related to a scream. We were working late one night to process reclaimed soil. This is done by using a machine called a trommel. This has a diesel engine of 16 litres that is very noisy. To add to this, the trommel needs to be fed by two 45-ton diggers, both with 13-litre engines running at maximum revs to maintain the soil flow. This is very noisy, as you can imagine. To our surprise, myself and 6 other employees heard a loud lady scream above the noise. This scream panicked us so much that we stopped the work and searched the area. When we found nothing, we called the police, as we were worried that someone was trapped. The police arrived and we walked around the site. Then suddenly, we heard the scream again. To the surprise of myself and the police, it was decided that the scream was very unusual, and the police suggested that as it was a full moon and that still no one could be seen, we give up and pack up for the night. So we did just that. I later learned that the police filed the report as unexplained. Not long after, I left the site and moved to another location. Nothing that I experienced was ever repeated in my work life. I always put it down to the site having an unnatural energy. Other colleagues and I agreed that we would never speak about it openly. The site lay derelict for many years, until last year, where it was demolished and is now being turned into a housing estate. I wonder if the new occupants will experience what I experienced. I hope this is enough for you to make something good from, and if there's something I've missed or that doesn't add up, or you need more detail, then please let me know. Since I reached out to Councillor Shane Ralph, he says he has been contacted by so many people regarding the site, so I'm not alone. I hope this makes good reading. Kind regards. It's very rare that a site can contain so many different elements of the paranormal, but here we have just that. Poltergeists, full-body apparitions, phantom voices, even large shadow entities seem to call this site home. But what could be going on here to enable all of this activity to occur? It is believed by many paranormal investigators and ghost hunters that water can somehow amplify paranormal activity, and with the existence of the underground reservoir at the site, could this be a possible explanation? So many people have come forward to confirm that similar events have happened to them, and this seems to prove that some sort of strange paranormal phenomena is at work here. But can this still be the case now that the site is in the process of being redeveloped? Can these spirits and entities somehow survive the huge disruptions that the building of houses will surely bring? Or will they be lost forever? Whilst the answers to these questions will for the moment remain a mystery, it will certainly be interesting to find out if the new residents of the houses being built begin to find that their peace and quiet is disturbed by strange and unexplained phenomena. So, if you're one of those people who is keen to get on the property ladder, or you want to move into a new build and you find yourself looking around one of these new homes, just take a minute or two to think about the events contained within this story. Because the next person who could be the subject of a short haunt could be you. And just when you thought that this story had come to a natural end, think again, because we have an update. I wrote into the show with a story about an old waterworks I worked in. As you know, the site had been acquired by a housing developer who was in the process of building houses on the land. Well, this has now been completed, and it seems that the activity on the land has now spilled into the new builds. I have it on good authority from a number of sources that 6 families have so far moved out of their homes, with 2 of them actually selling up. Others have rented their properties out. And the main causes for all of this? Poltergeist activity, dark apparitions, bad vibes. I've even spoken directly to the site foreman and a security guard, and they have both confirmed that the housing developer is trying its best to play the whole incident down, and for the record, I've seen the houses up for sale myself. I think you'd agree that in this case, it proves that it's the land and not the site itself. I found the whole thing very interesting. I just thought I would reach out to you with this update. All the best, and keep up the good work. And that is the very end of our short haunt. And if you've moved into a new build but it has an odd, old feeling, a new house with bad vibes, say, where newly fresh furnished rooms are in disarray from forces unknown, and cloaked medieval figures are seen fleetingly in corners of open-planned kitchen diners, then it's fair to say that we would love to hear from you.